Hey, Courtside crew, welcome back to the channel. It's the Courtside Queen, and today we are going to dig into all of the tournaments and results and events that are happening as we are leading into the third Grand Slam major of the year, which is Wimbledon in England. We cannot wait for this tournament, but in order to get there, we have to touch on all of the grass court tournaments that are leading up to Wimbledon. Let's go. So this past weekend, we had championship matches at multiple grass court tournaments. We had a grass court tournament in the Netherlands. We had Stuttgart, which is in Germany. And then we had one in London, which is where the women were playing. There were some really exciting matches. And of course, as always, some surprising upsets. Let's talk about it. In the Netherlands, we had WTA action and we had players like Zhang and Raducanu and Madison Keys and Amanda Anisimova, who made it to the final. Of course, we had some great matches there. Maria actually upset Madison Keys in the semifinal. And then Anisimova actually upset Zhang in the semifinal. And so we had a matchup that was probably unexpected. Most people probably expected Zhang and Keys in the final, but instead we had Maria and Anisimova. And Maria had the tournament of her life, really, where she actually won the final in England. Such an exciting tournament. We loved to see it. And now they're moving on to the next tournament. In the Netherlands, we had Riley Opelka, who went deep into that tournament. But then we also had fairly newcomer to the scene, Gabriel Diallo. I've been really impressed with this kid. I think he's a little older than he seems because he's kind of just breaking into the scene over the past year or so. But he's a Canadian, and I think he's about 23. He went to college first, and he has been on a tear this year from clay court to now grass courts. He's keeping this streak going, and I have big hopes for him. I think he's about maybe 6'5", and he is really doing his thing. He's taking out a lot of big name players, and he's just continuing to do this over and over again in a lot of tournaments over the past few months. So I'm super excited to see his trajectory and see how his game transfers over onto the different surfaces. So far, he had a great clay court season, and he's off to a great start on the grass. Riley Opelka, the American, he went out in the semifinals to Bergs, and Diallo actually went on to the final as well, and he took the title in the Netherlands. So kudos to him. Super excited to watch him as he goes through the rest of this clay court season and see how far he can go as we approach Wimbledon. I'm really excited to see him. He might be a wild card out there, someone to keep your eye on. And then last but not least, we had Stuttgart. Stuttgart seems to be a tournament where Americans always do well. We got a chance to see Frances Tiafoe break into the top 10. I think it was maybe 2 years ago at Stuttgart. We got a chance to see Ben Shelton break into the top 10 this year. Super proud of the Americans and what they are doing. He made it all the way to the semifinals where he had to play Zverev. And Zverev, this is his home tournament, right? The German is at home in Germany. And so Ben is having a problem figuring out how to get to Sasha Zverev. We need to work on what Ben can do to beat Zverev. Zverev is actually one of my favorite players. I want to see him do well so bad. But against the American, especially Ben Shelton, I definitely wanted to see him go down, but Ben was not able to make that happen. But because he had won his previous match in the quarterfinals, he broke into the top 10. He knocked de Minaur out of the top 10, and now he's in. De Minaur is out. And now, guys, we have 3 American men in the top 10. Listen, the women are doing just as good in the top 10 over in the WTA. So I'm loving what I'm seeing on both sides. Things are looking up for American tennis. Congratulations, Ben Shelton, for reaching the top 10. Who made it to the final at Stuttgart? Well, Zverev when he took out Ben, and Taylor Fritz was on the other side. And so that was your final match. And in that final match, it was pretty straightforward. Taylor Fritz took it all, another American doing well in Germany. And I'm just super, super proud of these guys. So happy for the work that they're putting in. So happy for the way that they are just making it happen and the way that they're moving through these draws. And as we know, tennis never ends. So now we're on to the next tournaments. Now, this week in tennis, we have 4 more tournaments going on. And this week is when we get to see our final 4, the 2 on the ladies' side and the 2 on the men's side of the French Open. They're all coming back into play this week. This week, we have Nottingham. We have Queens, which is where Carlos Alcaraz will be the top seed. Can't wait to see him back in action and how he transitions over from clay onto grass. We have Halle. Bublik is still on fire. He is doing his thing on the grass. I think this is probably his best surface, so I'm excited to see what he's going to do and if he can keep his run going. But Sinner is the top seed in this particular tournament, so we get to see him back on court as he makes his transition from clay to grass. And then we have the ladies in action in Berlin. Now, Berlin has 9 of the top 10 seeds as far as the ladies are concerned. So we get to see Sabalenka, we get to see Coco Gauff, we get to see 9 of the top 10 WTA players at this tournament. They realize they really need this tournament to prepare them for Wimbledon. And so they plan on going against the best, the other bests, so that they can get warmed up on this grass. And this is going to be a tournament that I'm excited to watch. I definitely have this one set on my DVR so that I can see these matches and see how everyone's kind of matching up against each other. Also in this tournament, we have Naomi Osaka, who is a former Grand Slam champion and top I think 4 player in the world. And even though she's not up there in those ranks right now, she is going to be at this tournament. So she's definitely someone that can kind of come through the rankings there. Let's see how Naomi can do as she begins her grass court run. I have high hopes for Naomi. I hope that she can kind of get it together when it comes to her mental state, her attitude, her belief in herself, her just everything. There's some things going on with Naomi right now that have me a little bit concerned. She seems so fragile. I don't want to see her leave the game of tennis too early. I don't think that she's giving herself a fair shot. She already had some mental health things going on before she exited the game to have her baby. And now she's back and she has to give herself time to recalibrate. I just feel like Naomi might need some different people around her to really give her the guidance that she needs. I have my own personal thoughts about this. Maybe I'll share them on the channel at some point in the future, but I really would like to see some different people in her corner, not in terms of coaching. I think in Patrick Mouratoglou, she has a great coach. We know that he's a great coach and he can do big things, but I'm talking about in terms of her personal team. I feel like she needs just more lifting up as a person, as an individual, as a young woman, as someone who seems to be struggling with her identity right now. I just see her as someone that like I could really truly help. But I don't know her. And I just hope that she gets the right people in her corner that can really truly help her come up, because she still has a lot of great tennis in her. And I'm super excited to see what her future holds if she can just stay the course. Now let's talk about the ATP. In Halle, last year, the winner was Hubie Hurkacz. The man from Poland, I think, well, at one time he was their top male player. I'm not sure that he is anymore because I know his ranking has dropped big time. He's had some knee injuries and some other issues that have had him out of the game for most of 2025. So he actually won that tournament last year, but he had to pull out of the tournament, I guess because of injury. Because of the withdrawal, he's going to lose the points that he achieved last year, which now made him drop out of the top 32. That means he will not be seeded at Wimbledon. Now, if you don't know, grass is Hurkacz's best surface. So if he can get healthy, he's definitely going to be one of those floaters that nobody wants to see in the first round at Wimbledon. Keep an eye out for this guy because he has a tendency to do big things and go really, really far at Wimbledon. And I expect that if he's healthy, he can do the same thing this year that he's been able to do the past few years on his best surface. Let's see whose side of the draw he lands in the next couple of weeks. Carlos Alcaraz said that he feels like on the ATP, there are other people that we should be on the lookout for besides just him and Jannik Sinner, the numbers 1 and 2 players in the world. Now, I find that very, very interesting because most people think that it's just the two of them that are going to dominate this thing moving forward, just like the Big Four did over the past, 20 years. I don't know. I think Alcaraz might be onto something. And so he said, keep a lookout for Zverev, which I told you guys already is one of my favorite players. I'm really, really hoping that Zverev can win a major. I actually started out this year having him win a major this year and having Coco win a major this year. We got half of that done. Now, Zverev, it's on you. But he named Zverev. He named Holger Rune. Let's see. He's really, really good on the clay courts. So let's see what he can do for the rest of the year. And then he also named Arthur Fils, the Frenchman, the young guy. I think Arthur Fils is only like 19 years old. So he's definitely an up-and-comer that is going to make some noise. I believe that there are some other guys in that same age group that are about to make some noise. Joao Fonseca, Ben Shelton, Arthur Fils, like Alcaraz said. I definitely think that even Diallo, we talked about him earlier. We still have to look at Taylor Fritz, who I think does have a chance to win a major at some point in the upcoming future. So we do have some guys that can make some noise, but I want to know what you think. Who do you think could actually make some noise as we move throughout the rest of 2025 and then into the 26 season and the 27 season? There are some people that are maturing in their play. And I definitely think that there's going to be more competition for these top two guys than we might be able to see right now. Now, when we look at the picks and what the odds makers have to say, they have Aryna Sabalenka as the favorite to win Wimbledon, and she's never won Wimbledon before. They have Alcaraz and Sinner tied for first place in terms of who they think is going to win Wimbledon on the men's side. Sinner has never even made it to the final. Alcaraz is the reigning champ of Wimbledon. So I definitely think that he has a chance to make something happen. But let's see. Who do you guys think? Who are your early picks? Of course, we still have to see how everyone does in these next couple of weeks as we lead into the end of the month when the tournament starts. And we also have to check on injuries. One of the things that's always so scary for me about grass court season is the tendency to slip and actually not slide, right? We see them slide on clay courts, but we see a lot of slipping on grass courts, and slipping can be dangerous. A lot of times you'll see these groin injuries and these pulls and these ankle rolls and all these types of things that will have a person injured and have to retire from matches and not able to make it to the next tournament. So I'm always really concerned when it comes to grass court season. But if everyone stays healthy, who are we expecting to move through the draw? I'm actually going to reserve my guesses until I see them move through, let's just say this week's set of tournaments. Let's see how everyone plays. Let's see who ends up winning. Let's see who actually plays next week or who takes off next week as we get into Wimbledon season. But I would love to hear from you and your thoughts. What do you think about Carlos Alcaraz's predictions on who could be a challenger for him and Sinner moving forward? And who are your early picks for the ATP side and for the WTA side? That's about it for our news and updates for everything that happened last week and throughout the weekend. And as we venture into this week's set of 4 tournaments, we'll see you later on this week with more news and updates. This is the Courtside Queen checking out. Can't wait to see you on the next video. Take care.